We've all been told that civilization began in Mesopotamia around 5,000 years ago. Anything before that? Hunter-gatherers, no cities, no architecture, no advanced societies. But here's the problem. Off the western coast of Cuba, sitting 2,000 feet beneath the ocean's surface, there's an entire complex of structures that shouldn't exist. Granite blocks arranged in perfect geometric patterns, pyramid-shaped formations, stone roads connecting what appears to be plazas and buildings, all of it covered by water for what scientists estimate could be 6,000 to 50,000 years. Lock your headphones in. After this, you'll never look at a map the same way again. May 14, 2001. A team from Advanced Digital Communications, led by marine engineer Paulina Zalitsky and her husband Paul Weinswag, was conducting sonar surveys off the Guanahacabives Peninsula in western Cuba. They were mapping the ocean floor when their instruments detected something impossible. Symmetrical formations, stone structures, geometric precision at a depth where natural geology creates nothing but randomness. Zalitsky had spent 20 years surveying ocean floors. She'd seen underwater volcanoes, tectonic ridges, coral formations. She knew what nature builds. This wasn't that. The sonar readings showed massive blocks, some measuring up to 16 feet in length, arranged in what appeared to be deliberate patterns. Pyramid shapes, circular structures, pathways connecting larger formations. The entire complex covered an area approximately 20 square kilometers, larger than 4 city blocks, all resting on a perfectly flat plateau. When the team reviewed the data, one detail stood out above all others. The stones appeared to be cut, shaped, placed, not eroded, not scattered by currents. Placed. In July 2001, they returned with a remotely operated vehicle equipped with high-definition cameras. The ROV descended through layers of darkness, its lights illuminating sediment that hadn't been disturbed in millennia. At 2,000 feet, the vehicle's cameras captured footage that would change everything. Massive granite blocks, covered in a thin layer of sand, arranged in configurations that resembled roads, buildings, and pyramids. The stone surfaces showed markings, some geometric, others that appeared to be symbols or inscriptions. One formation looked almost identical to a step pyramid. Another resembled a megalithic structure with standing stones arranged in a circle. Dr. Manuel Eteralda, a geologist from Cuba's National Museum of Natural History, was brought in to analyze the findings. He studied the sonar images, the video footage, and the geological data. His initial assessment was measured, but direct. "These are extremely peculiar structures," he said in an interview with Reuters. "They really look like they could have been a large urban center. But if I had to explain this geologically, I would have a hard time. And here's why this matters. For structures to be sitting at a depth of 2,000 feet, they would have had to sink. The Caribbean tectonic plate is geologically stable. There's no evidence of massive subsidence in this region within the last 10,000 years. If these structures are man-made, they would have been built when the site was above water. The last time sea levels were low enough for that location to be habitable? The end of the last ice age, approximately 12,000 to 50,000 years ago. But here's the thing, according to conventional archaeology, there were no civilizations capable of constructing megalithic architecture 12,000 years ago, let alone 50,000. Humans were hunter-gatherers. There were no cities, no stone-cutting tools advanced enough to shape granite into blocks measuring 16 feet long. Yet the evidence was there, recorded on sonar, captured on camera, analyzed by credentialed scientists. The Cuban government expressed interest. The National Geographic Society was contacted. Plans were made for a full expedition with submersibles capable of collecting samples, conducting detailed surveys, and potentially excavating artifacts. Then something changed. By 2003, all public research on the site had stopped. Paulina Zalitsky gave a few interviews, describing the structures as like finding Atlantis. But then she disappeared from the public record. No further expeditions were announced. No peer-reviewed studies were published. The footage captured by the ROV, never fully released. Requests for follow-up research were denied. Permissions to survey the site? Declined without explanation. When journalists asked the Cuban government about the structures, officials stated that further study was pending, but no timeline was provided. That was over 20 years ago. Dr. Iturralde continued his analysis independently. In a 2004 paper, he proposed that the formations might be unusual geological features, perhaps related to volcanic activity or tectonic folding. But even he admitted the symmetry was difficult to explain naturally. Nature, he said, is able to create very strange things. But the first have never seen nature create something quite like this. Independent researchers who've studied the released sonar images have noted details that contradict a purely geological origin. The blocks appear to have right angles. The pathways connecting structures run in straight lines. Some formations show what could be intentional stacking, with smaller stones resting on top of larger base stones. One researcher, Dr. Zalewski herself, described observing what appeared to be inscriptions on some of the blocks. "We saw symbols," she said in an interview, "not random scratches." Symbols? When asked if she could identify the symbols, she hesitated. "We need more time with the site," she said. "We need to bring up samples. We need to study this properly." That opportunity never came. So what are we left with? If these structures are natural, they represent one of the most unusual geological formations ever discovered, displaying a level of symmetry and organization that defies known natural processes. If they're man-made, they suggest a civilization capable of advanced construction techniques existed in the Caribbean basin thousands of years before conventional history says it was possible. And here's the mystery no one has answered. If the structures are just unusual rocks, why halt all research? Why stop the expeditions? Why silence the lead scientist? Natural formations don't require cover-ups. Some researchers believe the site represents evidence of a pre-Ice Age civilization, a culture that built cities before sea levels rose and drowned their works. Others suggest the structures could be remnants of an unknown ancient society that predates all known human civilizations. A few have proposed connections to Atlantis, though no credible evidence supports that specific claim. What's undeniable is this: the sonar data exists, the video footage exists, the analysis by credentialed geologists exists. Structures matching no known natural formation are sitting 2,000 feet beneath Cuban waters, and no one is allowed to study them. Dr. Iturralde said it best in one of his final interviews about the site. "If the first had to choose between a natural and artificial origin, I would say we need more evidence. But the first will say this: I've studied Caribbean geology for 40 years. I've never seen anything like what's down there, and neither has anyone else. The ocean holds secrets we've barely begun to uncover. We've mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have of our own ocean floors. Every year, submersibles discover new species, underwater mountains, thermal vents that rewrite biology textbooks. But sometimes, they find something that doesn't fit the narrative we've been taught. Off the coast of Cuba, beneath 2,000 feet of water, something is waiting. Granite blocks, pyramids, symbols carved into stone, a complex that covers 20 square kilometers and defies every geological explanation offered so far. The structures are there. The sonar doesn't lie. The question isn't whether they exist. It's why no one is allowed to find out what they really are. If you made it this far, thank you. Leave a like if this mystery stayed with you. Tell us what you think these structures are and whether you believe they're natural or something far older. And remember, some discoveries aren't forgotten. They're buried.